Why is this taking time? Am I not connected? It's taking too long. This is taking long to load. What could... I think I have internet. I have good internet, so I don't know why.
Maybe you have many programs running in the background.
It's possible, yeah. Come on. Okay, let's go on. When it opens, it opens. Let's just go on with our work. We'll talk about that when it opens, okay? Right. So what we want to look at today is string handling. String handling strings. String. This may be part one. Now, there are a number of keywords that we would use when it comes to string handling. Now, I'm going to I'm going to enumerate all of them here. The first word we will be looking at is the word called substring, which is quite a powerful word when it comes to strings, substrings. And under that, we will look at len, which stands for length of the string. Then we will look at trim, which is another powerful word which you would seriously need. Now, there are two versions of this. In fact, three versions of it. We'll look at the L trim. We'll look at the R trim. And just trim on its own. The fourth thing we will look at is replace. Then we would also look at, God help us if we're able to finish all of this today. Another keyword called char index. Char index. Then we will look at what is called reverse. We would also look at another very important word, cast. And then we will look at convert. So these are the keywords that we will look at under string handling. These are the keywords we will look at. So let's start with the first one, substring. Substring. What, from the word substring, what comes to mind? What comes to mind immediately you hear that word, substring? Yep, anybody to help us?
Secondary.
Sub cannot be secondary.
Like under or less.
Under.
Yep,
Under.
part under. I like under. Somebody said less. I like that too, but not exactly. What it simply means is part of. It's a bit of a subsidiary of something bigger, right? So so if, for example, we say select all from employees, just to, which database are we? Okay, we are in this database. Should I go to AdventureWorks? Okay, I'll use AdventureWorks later. Select all from employees. If we run this, we already know what we'll get, right? It will give us everything under the employee table. It gives us everything. But we want to look at something in particular here. Let me change the orientation of this. This is blocking my view, is blocking. Change orientation. Right, so let's see what we can do with this. So if we have this one here, assuming we want to, for example, just take a part. Let's look at employee number, for example. Look at employee number. You would see something about employee number. What is it made up of? That's the easiest example we can use here, which is why I'm using it.
Letters and
What do you
numbers.
think?
Strings and
It's made
characters.
up of letters and numbers. So we can decide to separate the letters from the numbers. We can decide to take a subsidiary of the employee number, and that's where the substring comes into play. So we can decide to use the keyword substring, and then we say, select, instead of everything, we just want employee number. Employee number and substring. 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 What do we want the substring of? We want the substring of employee number. Pay attention to this, because if you miss it, it can be a bit of it can be a little bit daunting if you don't get it from the beginning. And if you get it from the beginning, it is very, very easy. We want the substring, we want a part of the employee number. So we want a substring of the employee number. Now, the employee number is made up of letters and numbers. In which position is the letter?
First.
Position number. I don't want you to use the word first.
Okay, one.
It's in position number 1. And we want one number, or one part of that thing. So simply, as it is now, we have actually told the system to return to us just the first character found in the employee number. We have told the system that it should split up the employee number remove the first character and return the first character. We have told the system to split the employee number, take the first character, and return to us the first character. Do you get it? Right, so let us give this a name. Sub alphabet only. Let's give it a name, sub alphabet. Alphabet. I think I got the spelling right. Let's see what is going to happen here, whether it will return just that. Has it returned just that? Yes, it has. It has given us just the first character. So if you scroll down, if there is any character other than E, it will return that particular character. Unfortunately, everything here is just E. So for all the roles, in the database, it has returned the first letter. Are we getting somewhere with this?
Yep.
And I tell you, this is a very, very interesting concept. And it's something that you would actually need in your, even if you would need to, maybe you want to clean data and you want to clean it in a SQL server or your database management system before you export into your Power BI or into your Tableau. Right, let's look at another one. Let's take another example, another thing. Assuming now we tell this to, instead of, we say it should split the employee number, start from the first character and return 2. Let's see what happens. Let's call it first 2 and see whether that would happen. That should give you an idea. You can use this to play around and then do whatever it is that you want to do. So you would see that in all of these, it has returned the first character and the second. So we are telling the system, split up employee number and starting from the first character, return the first 2 characters. That is what we have told the system to do. Is that okay? If we wanted to return everything, or let's say we wanted to return more, we can just the same way do that. All we do is change this to the number of characters that we want. I actually meant these to be sub, not sus.
Yeah.
So I meant them to be sub. So let's say this is sub. What should we? Somebody should give me what to call it. Sub.
All characters.
Any number.
Any number.
Any. Oh no, it's not. It's definitely not any number. I can't call it any number. Sub. And I can't call it all characters too, because unless, and in this particular instance, if you call it all characters, you would be right.
Yeah,
because I think there are about 8 or 7 characters in the employee number. So you would actually, but I don't want to call it that. I don't want to call it that for the simple reason that what if there are more than 8 characters?
So XYZ number.
Okay, sub XYZ. I like that. So sub XYZ. So let's see. Let's execute this and see. We get everything that is there, right? We get everything up to 8 characters. It will show us up to 8 characters. So if here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one we have 6. But if there were 8, it would have returned 8 characters. Are you getting it? Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us look at an interesting concept. Let's add something to this. And that takes us to the second bit. Use of len.
I raised my hand.
Okay, yes, okay, go on.
Yes, I just wanted to ask if do we necessarily have to start with the first character, or we can start
Okay,
from...
very good. I like that. I actually do like that. I actually do like that. I actually do like that. Did you try it?
We don't have this database.
Oh, you can try it okay, we will do some adventure works stuff. So let's start from character 3 to character 6. Or let's see what will be easy for the eye. Let's start from character 2, right? That would be easy for the eye, wouldn't it? 1, 1,
Yeah.
1. Yeah, so let's do something that will be easy for the eye. And let's see whether that would work.
It's return 5.
Does it work, Oyindamola?
Yes, it does.
It does. Yeah, cool. It does work. It actually does work. So in the same vein, actually, let me just, this will take us to another concept now. This lead us to, actually, that's what I was going to do the next. I think there are up to about 7 characters in the employee number. There are some longer than 6. There are some which I think are longer than 6. Some are shorter than 6. So let's assume 7. It's not up to 8. That much I know. Let's call this as sub number. Oops. And that is going to give us exactly what we have here, actually. Or if this one give us up to 6, if there are up to 7, it will give us up to, you wouldn't see any difference in the results. But it's because all the numbers here are up to, the first few numbers are only 6, up to 6. But then it gives us something very interesting, which leads us to the second keyword, and that is len. Now, so what do you think len will be used for? What do you think len would be used for?
Is it to
Length of
count
the characters.
the number of letters?
Characters.
Exactly, to count the number of characters. That is beautiful. It counts the number of characters. So len employee number as len characters len employee number as we only want the employee number. in this particular instance, right? So let's see if that would give us the number of characters in the employee number. Let's see if it gives us the number of characters in the employee number. 6666666666666. I think some are up to 7, I'm sure.
Okay, so this len works like count.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
there's one, that's 7 here. There's a 7. There is a 5. It's telling the system to find the length of the characters. How many characters are in the word? The length. Okay, it doesn't work as count. It's slightly different from count. Right, so how can we make use of this? That is the most important thing. It's not just enough to be able to count the number of characters, but how can we make use of this facility of len? That is the most important thing. So assuming, for example, that we didn't have a very simple database as this, assuming the employee number was a mix, okay, in fact, let me do this. Let's go to the, let me change the data source. Let me change the data source. Let's go to AdventureWorks. Let's go and let's select from that place. Select. Let's see what can we use under AdventureWorks. We can use, okay, this eventually opened. This table eventually. So let me quickly, or should I come back to that later? What we wanted to discuss. What do you think, guys? Now that it's open, should we quickly discuss that before we go and do this, or do you want me to just continue?
It would be good to look at it, if you ask me, so that we
Okay,
can
so
see.
let's just look at it immediately, straight away. Right. So right. So when we said the data engineer would build a database, you would see that these attributes here there are certain specifications given to the attributes. It is the data engineer that determines all of these things, right? They determine what character type, how many characters, and a whole lot of things that they determine in building the database. Okay, so that simply is what I wanted to show. So let's use AdventureWorks. Under the AdventureWorks, what can we use? Let's say I want something as simple as that to use. Let's go to employees table to see what we can use. Okay, let me just close this. I'll use this one here. Login ID, and ID is always, it will give us a mix of characters, I'm sure. It has what is called varchar, meaning variable characters. So it is likely to have a mix of characters. So let's use login ID. So select, for example, login ID. Login. Login ID. Select login ID from. Which table are we taking it from? We're taking the login ID from employee. We took it from employee, right? Dim employee. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's dim employee? Oh yeah, from dim employee. So it's from dim employee. From dim employee. Okay, so let's have a look at this and see. Let's see what this would produce. You see the kind of characters that we have here. Will it be easy? And we have how many rows of data? 296. Will it be easy to count and know exactly how many characters we have in each row under login ID? That would be a difficulty, wouldn't it? It would be really, really difficult. So whilst we can use the len to find the number, okay, we can use len here actually. If we use len, it will give us everything. Len. Login ID. As login length. Let's see if that is gonna work. So some are 14, 21, 16, 18, 15, 11, 20, what is it? 27, 20, 23, a mix of numbers, a whole mix of numbers, very variable mix of numbers. So it wouldn't be easy for us to use just something like this, right? It wouldn't be easy for us to use just something like that. We have to find a dynamic way to be able to use the length keyword. Okay, we have to find a dynamic way to use that. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Before we go, I'll use this. I'll come back to this. So let me go back. I just use this as an example. Let me start from something simple, then we go to the more difficult ones. So let me go back to my table, my database. So we can, for example, say that we know the length of, we know that with this query here, we can find the length of characters in a particular field. Is that right? So with that idea in mind, we can then try to use the substring, add on the substring such that we make this dynamic. Now, when I say we make it dynamic, here we just use 7. So it doesn't give us flexibility. Assuming the characters like here, 21 characters, it would only end at 7. It can't give us everything. Right? It cannot do that. So we want to change this so that we have a dynamic variable, or rather, let me say a variable. We have a variable instead of a fixed figure. So here, this gives us something that is fixed, right? So that it can handle any number of characters up to whatever number you think about, from 1 to whatever number you think about. It should be able to handle that. So we use the substring again. That's where we use the substring, okay? Let me bring this up. Substring. Substring. Employee number. We want to find the substring of the employee number, right? Using the length. So this is in bracket. Our emphasis is on the employee number. So when we get to the AdventureWorks database, somebody is going to write this query for us. So take particular note of this, right? Employee number. We want to start from which character? Let's assume we want again to start from the second character. And we want it to return what? The remaining characters. So we want it to start from the, let me run this first, okay? Let me run this. This is len, this is, let me run this. Right, so let's go back to here. We want it to start from the second character like this and return, instead of just saying 7, I don't want us to use the number 7. If we use 7, we have restricted ourselves. So we're going to use a dynamic query. And that dynamic query comes from here. What we have done before. We have used this to find the length of the number of characters. So this gives us the length of the number of characters. We are asking the system to start from character number 2. So how many characters will be left if we use the length of the number of characters? This is a puzzle for you. How many characters will be left?
I don't know, but I think the first number will not be carried along.
The first, obviously we are starting from character number 2.
Okay.
So how many characters will be left?
5.
No, I don't want you to say 5. I want you to use this here. This len here gives us the number of characters. Okay? This here gives us the number of characters. Okay? Now, we are telling the system that we want it to split the employee number up, starting such that it starts from character number 2 and returns the remaining characters.
Is there anything like len -2?
Why -2?
Len.
And why -2? Why did you use -2?
Because okay, -1.
Exactly. Len -1. Thank you. Len -1. And now we have made this dynamic. It's now a dynamic substring. Dynamic substring. Okay. Now, if we run this, it will give us the same thing here, but with a difference. Logical, with a difference in logic. Right? So here, it is giving us the characters, the remaining characters, discounting the first one and giving us the remaining. So this same query here can be used to return 101 million characters, irrespective of the number of characters that there are. It will return everything. Does that make sense? Whilst this one here will return only up to 7, up to the 7th, from the 2nd to the 7th. That is the difference. Any questions? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? So we can, somebody asked an interesting question earlier on. Let's try that. I haven't actually tried that before. Let me just try it for the first time and see if it's going to work. Starting from character number 3. Let's see if it would give us the rest. It should give us the rest, actually. It should give us the rest. Do you see that? So it started from character number 3. 1, 2, it cuts the first 2 off. It started from character number 3 to give us that. Right. Now,
Hello,
any
sir.
questions? Pardon?
Yeah, you wrote a len employee -1. That's what you wrong. And why did you cut off E and 1?
Oh, I have changed this. See that? I've now started from 3.
Yeah, counting 3.
I just want you to see that you can start from any position.
Okay.
Do you get that?
What I'm saying is then the -1, okay, source string employee number, 3 len employee number.
Actually, that's -1. I get where your question is going, and I was actually going to come to that. I actually do get where your question is going. For this particular purpose, the -1 is actually not necessary.
Okay.
it would still work all the same for this particular purpose. The -1 is not necessary. But it is good to know that you should add it there. That is why I start. It's a safer option to play with. Okay? It's a safer option to play with. Okay, so let's see. Another way by which we can write these. There is another way by which we can write these. And that gives us the opportunities to start from whichever end that we want. We can start from whichever end, whether from the left or from the right. Let me see what I can quickly copy. Okay. So this one, let's see what it's going to give us. Let's call this, we're asking it to start from the left, and we are asking it to return the first character. Take employee number, start from the left, return first character. So I think you know where this is going, right? I think you know where this is going. It's just going to give us the E. In the same way, if we ask it to give us the right character, it will take the extreme right. And return the right character. We can, however, ask it to return more than just one character at a time. We can ask it to return the last two characters if we want. And that returns the last two characters. We can ask it to return the last three characters, any number of characters at all that we want to have. We are free to play around with that. Okay. In much the same way, now let me switch to the adventure works so that you can all play with something. Let's switch to adventure works. Let's practice some of these on the adventure works. Right, so before we go into serious business with the adventure works, let us just say we select all. Select star from dim employee, right? We already, have we done? I think we've done that, right? Dim employee, and we know already what that would come up with. Everything there comes up, but we just want to look at the login. We are interested in something we can play with. Something we can play with. And I think we've already done this bit, so we know where that is going. So if we say, for example, like we did before, if we introduce the substring here, we can ask it to, instead of selecting everything, we are only interested in the login, right? Login ID. And we want a substring of that. We want a substring, a part of the login ID. We want a part of the login ID. Which parts of the login ID do we want? We want it to start from the first character and to return two characters. Starting from the first character, it should return 2 characters. Now, this, as you would see, is exactly what we did here. Is exactly what we did here. We could have asked it to start from the first, return the first, but we are only starting from here to return the first 2 characters. So you would see that it doesn't matter the database that you are playing with, the same query would work irrespective of the database. And it has returned the first 2 characters. Right? Now, we can now introduce the len here. Instead of substring, we want to find the length, which we have already done a bit here. Oh yeah, we've done that, haven't we? Yeah, that's the one. We've done it. We've done it. So let me just take this out. Take that out. Now we can continue playing more with this. Now that we know the length, how to find the length of these, of the character, we know the length. We can decide, for example, to say, you see, this one, you see the first 2 characters are all AW, right? the first two characters, as you go down everything, it looks like the organization starts its the login for all employees with AW, AdventureWorks, AdventureWorks, AdventureWorks. Right. So which character do you think we should start from? We can start from character number 3. Character number 3, and ask it to return all the rest. Ask it to return all the rest. But we don't know how many characters are left. This is where the dynamic length becomes very, very important. We don't know how many characters are left. For here, it's different for each one, right? Let's run this again and see. When we run this, what do we get? We get varying character lengths. So it will be very, very difficult for us to specify a number at which it should stop. The only thing, if we want to do that, the only thing we can do is go through the whole database and pick the highest number and use it. So if the highest number, for example, is 50, assuming the highest number is, say, 49, and we pick 50, that would work perfectly well. But does that really make sense? What if we have a billion rows of data? Would we go through the whole billion rows to find the highest number? That is just a waste of time. That is not being effective. It is neither being efficient. So we want to find an effective and efficient way of doing these things. Right? So let's see what we can do. We are saying the first character, apart from the first two, which are standard, is the third. Right? So we are starting from character number 3. And to return the remaining part in the length, the remaining part of the length, right? So let's copy this and see where we can put it. So we take this 2 out because we don't need the 2. We paste this here. Okay. But we are starting from character number 3. We've taken the first 2 out. This is where this concept becomes important. Knowing what to take out becomes important. You remember I said that it wasn't important in this particular, within this particular context, it wasn't important. So when we run this query, it gave us the same result as when we run that, right? But it's important here. So how many characters do you think we should take away from here?
2.
2. We should take away 2. And let's call this ABCD. ABCD. And let's see whether it would work. Of course, it has worked. It has worked. So it has returned the remaining parts of the login detail. Okay, it has returned the remaining parts of the login detail. So assuming we wanted to start, for example, from you know what? Let's try something. Let's try something. Let's take these two out. I've not tried that, but let's try if it would. Okay, let me leave that. Let me try something. Let's see. Let me test this to see. A lot of things are changing now, so let's test it to see. I want to take it out and see what it would return. Okay, no, let me not do it that way. Let me do it this way. Let me do it here. I want to compare the two. X, Y, Z. I want to compare these two. Right. So actually, this is not, it's actually redundant. If we do this, it's redundant. I see. If we specify the start position, that becomes redundant. Okay. We are learning every day. Right. So another thing we can do is, let me take this out. I don't need this. I don't need this anymore. Another thing under substring that we can look at is upper and lower. Upper and lower. Lower, upper and lower. So let's, for example, say we want to select the first name. First name. Select first name. Make, okay, so let's, okay. Select first name. Let's run this first and see what happens with this one. Let's run this and see what happens with that. So we see that when we select first names, it's a mix of upper and lower case, right? We can make all of these either upper or all of it lower. We can make everything either upper or lower. Upper, first name. Upper first name as first name. Upper first name as first name. And that is from so let's see what happens here. Just change all the characters to uppercase. In the same way, we can change everything to lowercase just by changing upper to lower. Is that cool? Right, that brings, now we go to the third thing that we want to do. Number 3, trim. And we said there are 3 variants of trim. The first one is a left trim, right trim. And this is very, very important. You would use it a lot if you are cleaning data. You would use it a lot for data cleansing. Let me switch database now. Let me see where this is. One moment. Okay. I'm looking for something specific, something that has got unclean data to use. Which is why I was searching. Right, so we are going to use this table here. This table has got this, where is it? This table here has some unclean data. So we're going to use that. And that is under this database. So I'm going to switch my table. So let's say we select, for example, What is it? Salesman. Salesman name. Select salesman's name from this table, company locations.
So do you mean to write salesman or salesman?
Oh, salesman, salesman. Thank you. Salesman. Let's see what this can give us. Look at this very well. Look at what is here very well. Look at it very, very well. What do you notice?
Some names are first name and last name. Some are just first names. Some are more than one person combined.
Is that all you notice?
And they are scattered.
I like that one. I like the word scattered.
Some have spaces in front
They are what?
and behind. Some have spaces before the test and after
Yep,
the
exactly. So assuming you are to present data to your CEO and you present data in this format, what do you think is going to happen? As a data analyst, you'll say, this guy doesn't know, this guy knows Sabi in work. That's what this guy knows Sabi nothing. Nothing. That's what they will
Blockage.
say. Right? So you want to clean this and get rid of unwanted stuff. So you would see that this one, for example, has got space. Let me take it back. This one, the same thing. This one has two or more spaces, actually. Some even have in between here. Look at the space here. This has space. Look at the space here. It's more than the space there, right? This has got Lee and look at this and dots, Sylvia. This has got Hans dots, things you don't want. So you want to get rid of all of these things, right? And this is where the trimming starts. So trimming, just like the name implies, means cutting, right? Trim things off, cut certain things off, things that you don't want, cut them off. Right, so let's see how we can use the trim facility to do this. Right. Let me get rid of this. And let's see. So we select again all of this. Let me just copy this. Then we left trim. Let's first of all left trim. Left trim. What do we want to trim? We want to trim the salesman's name. We want to left trim the salesman's name. Okay, so let's see what happens. Actually, let me copy this again. Let me put this back there. Let me put this back there so that it serves as a kind of visual guide for us. Okay, now let's run this and see what is going to happen. Oh, okay. I actually have it here. So, okay, let me get rid of this. I made both at the same time. So, yep. So you see what has happened. What has happened with the left trim? It has trimmed off all the unwanted characters on the left. Every unwanted character on the left has been trimmed off. Are there unwanted characters on the right? Definitely there are. Hard to see simply because we don't see, because there's nothing written to the right other than where the last letter stops, we think there are no characters. But if we were to put this, for example, if we were to if this were to be pixelated, it would show that there are empty spaces on some of these words. So this is where we use the right trim. So the left trim would trim up all the left characters, all left unwanted characters, whilst right trim will trim right. Actually, let me put them together. Let me put them together. Let me put them together. Right trim. So that we see, you might not see anything with the right trim simply because the it's not a good visual, that's all. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And if we run all of these, we get another one. Right. So this is what we have. Now, why is the left trim would trim leading characters to the right, to the left? Right trim would trim lagging characters to the right. Okay? Trim does both. So when you use the word just trim, it takes care of both. Trim. It will do everything. It trims up both the left and the right. So trim will do both at the same time. No point repeating stuff. So trims leading unwanted characters. On the left. And the streams both. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, so when you say unwanted characters, does it mean it also removes maybe full stop, commas, or any other character,
I like
space?
that question. I like that question. And actually, that is where we were going to. I really do. I like that question, actually. Very good question. Okay. So you would see that these full stops and the ampersand, they are neither on the left nor the right. Right? So how do we get rid of them? How do we get rid of them? Which number is that? This is number. What number are we on? So that's number 2. Trim is number 3. Trim. Okay, so trim is number 3, then number 4. 3. Number 4. Replace. Remember, I listed all the things we'll be talking about. Replace. Replace. Now, replace is used in replacing symbols and characters. And unwanted characters. While trim is used in trimming, leading, okay, let me, instead of saying, I said leading characters, right? Leading spaces, rather. Characters. ETC. So if you want to use the trim to get rid of a character, you actually have to specify the character in the trim. Okay. So let's see how that can work for us. So if you look at the salesman name, the very first column in the results section, you will see that there are some characters there. We have ampersand, for example. We have full stop. We have and. Well, we can decide to leave the and. We have, and if you also look carefully, has this, let me see here, let me check. Let me check here. Let me check. Okay, let me repeat this thing. Let me repeat this thing. Owen and Mary Douglas. Owen, Mary Douglas. Owen and Mary Douglas. If you look carefully, it does seem like there is, this space here is smaller than that, right? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So this is 2 spaces. That is 1 space. So trim doesn't do that in the middle of the words. It can't do it. It only does the ends, right? So we need to find a way to get rid of these things. Okay? So how do we do that? That is where we use the keyword replace. That's where we use the keyword replace. So let us first of all try to replace these double spaces in between. We've removed spaces at the ends, right? Now let's remove spaces in between. How do we do that? Who can tell us how we can achieve that? How can we achieve that? Yes, any helper?
I would have said replacing the character with a space, but with
Replace
that,
what?
replacing the character with a space,
Which
but will
character?
that not increase the space? So, for example, if we're
Oh
doing the,
gosh, why had thou of little faith?
okay, for
Why art
example,
thou
we're
of
doing
little faith?
if
I know
we're
what you want. You almost got it, but you didn't say it well.
okay.
So select salesman name. Okay. And we want to select that from where? Company locations, right? Company.
From.
Oh, thank you. Company locations. Okay. So here we come and insert the word replace. What do we want to replace? Now look carefully at this. We said we want to replace the double space here. We want to replace the double space here. What do you think is the most logical thing to replace it with?
Single space.
Single space. So replace the double space simply with a single space. And how do we do that? So replace salesman's name. In salesman's name, wherever you see a double space, in salesman's name, wherever you see a double space, so look carefully. This is 1 space, 2 spaces. Sorry. Right? Replace this with 1 space. Wherever you see a double space, replace it with 1 space. As replaced salesman's name. That is what we have told the system to do. Let's see if that is going to work. I didn't want to get rid of this. Okay, I will not get, but I'll get rid of all of these. Fine, that's fine. Okay, let's see. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. So there's an issue here. Mary and have glued together. Why is that? Who can tell us why that is the case?
That means it was a single space before.
Are you sure? Let's try this and see. That means it was a single space before. So why does it look so big here?
But it's still glued. It is still glued. And
Yeah,
Mary.
If
yeah,
it was a
yeah, it's
single
still
space
glued.
before, was he supposed to obey that query?
Yes,
It
that's
won't
what
have
it's
recognized
supposed
it.
to obey the query. Okay, let me see something. Owen and Mary. Replace. How many spaces are here? 1, 2.
There was no space in the replacement.
Hmm?
You didn't put any space in the replacement, that's why.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you can check again.
Let me see. 1, 2. Then that. That's 2 spaces, right? Then, okay, I think I know what happened. Let's see this now. Let's see if it's gonna work. I think that's worked.
Yeah, but so what happened?
There was no space here. There was no space here.
All right.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
This was just the quotation marks like this. Do you get it? No space in between.
Yeah.
Here I've put a space in between. So this is 2 spaces, that is 1 space.
All right. Thank you.
You get that?
Yes.
Okay, so we have been able to get rid of the spaces which are between the names. But there are other things. There are other things that we can also get rid of. We can get rid of ampersand. And what do we do? When you are presenting...
Sorry, excuse me. Did you
yes.
say remove the noise?
Pardon?
I heard you say remove the noise.
You heard me say remove noise.
Yes.
I didn't mention noise. Did I say
Oh,
noise?
okay. Oh, I thought I came across this question as a potential interview question. How do you remove noise from a database in SQL?
It depends on the definition of the noise. What did they mean by noise?
It wasn't specific. I just came across the question.
You can send the question to me. Let me have a look.
Okay.
I need to know
Okay.
the context within which that question is asked.
Okay, I think it's relating to joins.
Relating to join.
Yeah, how do you remove noise from a database using the right join? It didn't specify the specific type of join, whether it was left join or right join. I just came across the question. I'll try to find this.
Okay, you can send it to me and then I'll have a look at it, okay?
Yes. Thank you.
We need to know the context within which the question is asked.
Oh.
Okay, so let's continue with this. So we can actually also have we can remove the ampersand and replace it with what? What do you think?
Single space.
Space.
No, but if I just replace it with single space, you see, these are two names, Lee and Sylvia. If I just replace it with space, what do you think? Would that be right? There are two people there, so I can't just replace it with space.
We can use the word and.
I can use the word and. I can use the word and. That's beautiful. So here, in salesman's name, wherever I see the ampersand, I should replace it with the word and. And let me call this, the name has become cleaner, right? So let me say it's a clean name or cleaned data. Let's see what happens. Should I put it together with, okay, let me separate it, no problem. Let me separate it. So you see that it has replaced ampersand with and. Okay. We can see that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I noticed that the replace is not working, is not doing the work of the trim.
No, it's a different thing.
Oh, okay.
Replace
But
is
then,
different from trim.
okay, but then all these queries, can they be put in as one and run at the same time?
Oh, interesting question. That is where we are trying to achieve. And actually, that is what we are going to do next. And you are going to lead us to do that.
How? I just asked a question.
Who is speaking? Ada or Lisa? Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay, so Ada, the ball is in your court. How are we going to do that?
I'm sorry,
Okay,
I just
let's
asked
see.
a
Let's
question.
see.
I just feel maybe we'll just put all the whole command, but I don't know if there is a hierarchy of the command of the queries. If there's anyone that's supposed to come before the other. But then we can, that's what
Okay, so the only thing that will come is the trim should always be within the replace. Okay, the trim should be between the replace. It should be within.
Okay, you can show us, please. Thank you.
So let's say we have this. And let's assume that we want to we have trimmed the sales, we want to trim salesman, right? All at once. We want to trim all at once, right? How do we go about that? So let's go back to trim. We want to trim salesman's name. That takes care of both. We want to do everything in one go, right? Everything in one go. So first of all, we trim. Not so? We trim. And let's put it here. One moment. I have some dogs misbehaving behind me. One moment. Okay, I'm back. So we want to do all of this in one go, right? That is what Ada is tasking us to do. And I'm asking her to lead us and she's running away. Ada, that is not fair. Okay, let me get rid of this. We first of all want to trim the salesman's name. So that takes care of what? The leading spaces, right? When we have trimmed the salesman's name, we now want to, what did we do next? We replaced the double spaces between the names with single spaces, right? So replace double spaces. No, this is one. With one space. So this is step number one. Take note of that. Let's call this something. Let's call it, what should we call it? Ada's clean. Okay. Will this do it all at once? Yes, it will do. So this is where we are at now, right? To do this at once. It should trim the leading character, the leading spaces, and at the same time, close the gap. Has it done it? It's trimmed the leading spaces. Look at that, that's clean. And at the same time, it has closed the gap. Okay, so we can keep building on this. And it can become very, very, very interesting. We can again replace. Let's take all of this. Let's take all of this. What did we do next? What did we do next? What did we do next? After we had, we got rid of the
ampersand.
Is that what we did next?
Yes, after the double space.
Are you sure? We got rid of the ampersand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we get rid of the ampersand and then replace it with what? And. Oh, there's a full stop. We get rid of the full stop. We get rid of the full stop. Full stop. Replace it with what? With empty space. Remember? Remember? We get rid of, did we get rid of the full stop? I don't think we did that. Oh, the full stop was still there. We didn't get rid of the full stop. So there was one more thing for us to have actually done here. But you see, there is a full stop here. After hands, there's a full stop. After hands, there's a full stop. So we can get rid of that full stop and replace that with an empty space. And let's close that bracket and see. So how many brackets do we have introduced? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So there's 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. As without full stop. Something is missing here. Trim salesman name space reduced to 1 space. Full stop reduced to get rid of that a space. Is there something missing?
Did you intentionally not add the ampersand?
Pardon?
Did you intentionally not add the ampersand?
Yeah, I want to do that on the next step.
Okay.
Let me see that. That's not it. Oh, I see where the mistake is. Lord have mercy. Salesman name. Salesman name. Salesman name. Salesman name. Salesman name. What has happened? Stream. Okay, okay. I get it. I got it. There should be another replace here. We are replacing another thing, so we introduce another replace. Okay. We introduce another replace. Do you get it? So this is the first replace. That is the second. In fact, this and that are the same thing, right? So this is the second replace. And when we run that query, this full stop here, if you look carefully, you will see a full stop at the end of the S here. It is also here. Can you see it? I wonder if anybody can see it.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Let's see if it would go. You will see that it has gone here. It is no longer here. Right? It is no longer here. Now, in much the same way, we can continue building this. We can now replace the ampersand. So what do we want now to replace? We want to replace the ampersand. Where is it? Ampersand. We want to replace this with and. Okay. But again, we need to put another replace here because we are carrying out another replacement. Okay. Replacement number 3. And let's run the whole of this and see what happens.
Before you run, there's a comma in front, there's double comma in front of the last query of replace.
There's a oh, okay, thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. So the ampersand has been replaced with an and. Let me call this a dash question. A dash question. Nah, it's going to throw an exception. A dash question. So Ada, have we answered your question?
Yes, you did, but I was hoping that yes, you did, but I was hoping that the query is not this long.
Oh dear. Unfortunately, you have to do it one by one.
I think it's just the same thing as doing it one by one then.
Yeah.
Because this might be confusing.
But you see, if you really know what to do, then all you do is this last one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That was what I was expecting.
Yes, if you really know what to do, then all you need to do is the last one. You don't need to do the other three. You get. But if you go straight to the last one too, then that becomes more. People will be thinking, oh, how did this come about? You get the point?
Yes, I do.
Mhm. So that is why we had to go this way. Any questions? Any questions so far? If there are no questions, then I'm going to send this to Paradise. So
Okay, are we done?
yes, we are done for this for today. It's 11 o'clock, girl.
Oh, okay.
11
I wasn't
o'clock.
looking at the time.
It's 11 o'clock. I won't go bed.
Obrigado.
Sorry, name. Salesman name. Do we expect two people to be in one column?
Oh, salesman's name, Lee and Sylvia. Okay, I get it. I get your question actually. It's a funny quiz. Yeah, I get it. I get your question. Okay, so you want us to get rid of the and just put, we can actually, yes, now I see where your question came from. So we don't need the and there. We just need a space.
Yeah, but there are other names too that has double names, but I still have and. So maybe an error, maybe people managing the same region, two people managing the same.
Yeah, that's also possible. That's also possible, actually. That's also possible. Maybe two people managing the same
Or
region.
maybe a typo error or something.
It could be a typo error too. Data entry errors,
Mm.
which is why this is good for studies. This database is really, that's actually that's what it was built for. It was built for this reason. So this is strings. I'm going to save this and then send it off to